The world you know is dressed in illusions, and the greatest illusion of all is fairness. As your narrator, I stand before you not to comfort you, but to reveal the machinery that turns the world in favor of the bold. Listen closely, for this first lesson cuts deep. Power has never belonged to those who played fair. It has always belonged to those who dared to see fairness for what it truly is: a mask, a tool, gentle lie whispered into the ears of the obedient. You were raised to believe that fairness creates order, that fairness protects you, that fairness is the currency of a civilized society. But if you look at history not through the eyes of the innocent but through the eyes of a strategist, you will see that fairness has never crowned a king, never secured a throne, never built an empire. What crowns kings, what builds empires, is the courage to abandon the illusions others cling to, the willingness to step out of the moral comfort that binds ordinary people. Imagine a battlefield where two armies stand poised for war. One army swears to fight with honor, promising never to strike from the shadows, never to break formation, never to surprise the enemy. The other army swears only to win. Which survives? Machiavelli understood that fairness is a story told by the powerful to domesticate the masses, a story created to keep society predictable, manageable, easy to rule. When rulers tell you to fight fair, it is because they do not want you to discover how much more dangerous you could be if you stopped listening. Fairness is a leash, ruthlessness is the hand that holds it. In the courts of Florence, where I observed princes, generals, and schemers, I learned that fairness was spoken only in public. Behind closed doors, fairness evaporated like smoke. Agreements were broken, alliances shifted overnight, and promises were crafted only to be weaponized later. Those who believed in fairness remained pawns in games they did not even know they were part of. Those who understood fairness as an illusion became players shaping outcomes, influencing destinies, and walking away victorious while others wept. This is the reality you must confront. The moment you cling to fairness, you become vulnerable to those who don't. It is not cruelty, it is survival. The fox survives not by being fair, but by being aware, adaptable, and willing to break expectations when the moment demands it. You may be thinking, but if everyone abandons fairness, won't the world descend into chaos? The truth is that the world has always balanced on the edge of chaos. The powerful simply learned to operate in the shadows while appearing good in the light. They understood that fairness is a costume worn only when the audience is watching. When the curtain's close, strategy begins. And if you want to rise, you must learn the same duality. No one will hand you power because you played fair. Power does not bow to kindness. Power bows to advantage. If you do not create advantage, someone else will, and they will use it against you without hesitation. The illusion of fairness protects everyone except the person who needs protection the most, the one climbing upward. Picture a workplace filled with smiling competitors, each pretending to cooperate while secretly vying for the same position. The one who plays fair, who waits patiently, who follows the rules, becomes invisible. The one who understands the system, who notices the openings, who calculates rather than hopes, becomes indispensable. Fairness promises equality, but power rewards decisiveness. When you stop playing fair, you do not become evil, you become effective. You stop waiting for permission, and you start designing outcomes. You might ask, how do I discard fairness without losing myself? You do so by recognizing that fairness is not your duty, it is your disadvantage. You do so by observing how people react not to fairness, but to authority. People follow strength, not purity. They trust leaders who act, not leaders who hope. They fear being ignored more than they fear being treated unfairly. When you abandon the illusion of fairness, you gain clarity. You begin to see opportunities others miss because they are too busy asking whether something is fair rather than whether it is useful. You stop thinking like a subject and begin thinking like a ruler. And here is the most important truth Machiavelli uncovered. The moment you stop believing in fairness, you stop being manipulated by it. When someone appeals to your sense of fairness, they are not guiding you toward justice. They are guiding you toward compliance. They want you predictable, obedient, controlled. But when you detach from the expectation of fairness, their influence shatters. They cannot trap you with guilt, cannot lure you with promises, cannot restrain you with moral expectations they themselves have no intention of honoring. You become ungovernable by their rules and unstoppable by their strategies. In war, in business, in politics, in relationships, fairness is the currency of the powerless. The powerful use it only when it benefits them. If you want to rise, you must treat fairness as an optional tactic, not a foundational principle. You must recognize when it weakens you and when it strengthens those who seek to surpass you. And when you see that truth clearly, you will understand why so few rise and why even fewer stay on top. The world rewards those who dare to see reality without the filter of illusions, those who dare to see fairness as a story crafted for the masses rather than a law of nature, those who dare to step beyond the boundaries others accept without question. Because in every arena of life, from the smallest dispute to the grandest empire, power belongs to the one who dares to break the illusions that bind everyone else. Ruthlessness is a word that frightens the weak, yet intrigues the ambitious. But what most people misunderstand is that ruthlessness does not mean chaos, cruelty, or mindless aggression. No, the ruthlessness Machiavelli teaches is refined, strategic, and focused. It is the difference between a butcher and a surgeon. One swings wildly, spilling unnecessary blood. The other cuts with purpose, precision, and discipline. In this lesson, I will show you how ruthlessness becomes a tool of power, not by being loud, reckless, or cruel, but by being deliberate, calculated, and unforgettable. Imagine you are a ruler facing opposition. Your advisors tell you to negotiate, to be patient, to compromise. They whisper the gentle promises of fairness and mercy, but your enemies do not share that softness. They gather quietly, building strength, sharpening their blades behind closed doors. If you meet their hidden aggression with open kindness, you will not survive. Machiavelli saw this clearly. Cruelty, when used with intention and skill, prevents greater suffering later. A single decisive action can stop 1,000 conflicts. The key is not to indulge in ruthlessness, but to direct it like a weapon toward the right target at the right moment. Consider the rulers who fell because they hesitated. They allowed enemies to grow, plots to strengthen, doubts to spread. Their downfall was not caused by too much cruelty, but by too little. They tried to be gentle when firmness was required. They tried to persuade when they should have acted. They tried to be loved when they needed to be respected. And so their kingdoms crumbled beneath them, devoured by rivals who did not hesitate. This is the danger of softness in a world where ambition feeds on weakness. Ruthlessness, when done correctly, is not about harming others. It is about protecting your position, your influence, and the future you are building. Now imagine a different ruler, one who understands the art of calculated ruthlessness. When a threat arises, he does not panic, does not rush, and does not lash out blindly. He studies it, he measures the cost, he evaluates the timing, and when he finally acts, he does so in a way that ends the threat completely. He does not strike repeatedly, He strikes once with finality. His enemies learn quickly that he is not to be tested. Even those who oppose him grow silent, not because they fear cruelty, but because they respect precision. They know he uses force not out of rage, but out of necessity. His ruthlessness is not emotional. It is strategic. And because of that, it is far more powerful. This form of ruthlessness does not create chaos. It creates stability. It removes uncertainty. It communicates strength. People trust leaders who know how to make hard decisions, who will not allow disorder to fester or rivals to grow. A leader who is feared for his capability is far more respected than one who is loved for his mercy. Love fades, loyalty wavers, but the memory of decisive action imprints itself on the minds of all who witness it. It becomes a quiet warning: do not test this person's resolve. Let us bring this idea into your life. Perhaps you are surrounded by people who challenge your boundaries, who exploit your patience, who chip away at your confidence because they assume you will always be lenient. If you respond with kindness, hoping to change them, you only strengthen their behavior. But if you respond with calculated ruthlessness, by cutting ties, enforcing consequences, or removing their influence, you end the cycle. The goal is not to hurt them. The goal is to stop them from hurting you repeatedly. This is the art of necessary ruthlessness. It is not enjoyment of conflict. It is mastery of control. Machiavelli taught that cruelty is effective only when it is swift and never repeated. Repetition reveals weakness, hesitation, or lack of control. But a single action, executed with clarity and finality, creates stability. That is why your ruthlessness must always be selective, not emotional. The moment you allow anger to guide you, you lose strategy. But when your decisions are born from reason, not rage, you become untouchable. Ruthlessness becomes a shield, not a sword. A tool to maintain order, not destroy it. Understand that those who rise to power are not those who avoid conflict, but those who control it. They do not fear confrontation, they manage it. They do not waste effort on petty attacks. They eliminate only what threatens their future. Strategic ruthlessness is the discipline of saying, "This ends now," and acting in a way that ensures it does. It is the courage to make the decisions others avoid. It is the calm to move when movement is required, and to be still when patience is more powerful. And here lies the truth that separates rulers from the ruled. People follow strength. They may praise kindness, but they obey certainty. They may admire compassion, but they respect authority. And authority is built on the willingness to act not blindly, but precisely. Your ruthlessness must be memorable but rare, powerful but controlled, swift but intelligent. When used with intention, it does not shatter your reputation, it strengthens it. It tells the world that you are capable of mercy, but unwilling to be taken advantage of. In a world fueled by ambition, the one who hesitates becomes prey to the one who does not. Your power will never come from pleasing everyone. It will come from mastering the hard decisions others avoid. Strategic ruthlessness is not about cruelty. It is about clarity. It is about seeing reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. It is about knowing when to command the moment rather than be commanded by it. A ruler does not fall because of a great rebellion that suddenly erupts. He falls because he ignored the first whisper of danger. That whisper grows into a murmur, the murmur grows into a challenge, and the challenge becomes a storm that finally consumes him. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. Threats are at their most dangerous when they are still small. They are quiet, subtle, and easily dismissed. And because they are easily dismissed, weak rulers allow them to grow. But the wise, the strategic, the truly powerful, these individuals see danger in its infancy and crush it before it can breathe. In this lesson, you must understand that survival and dominance belong to the one who acts early, acts quietly, and acts completely. Imagine your life as a fortress. The walls stand tall, your guards stay alert, and your influence reaches far beyond the gates. But somewhere along the edge of those walls, a single stone shifts, a small crack forms. It poses no immediate danger. It is barely noticeable, but a crack is never just a crack. It is a sign of weakness, a place where pressure begins to build, a point where enemies can eventually pry the fortress open. Most people would ignore it. They would say, "It's too small to matter." But Machiavelli would say, "Fix it now or perish later." This is the philosophy that separates those who last from those who collapse. Threats rarely announce themselves with sirens. They appear as friendly competitors, harmless rumors, small betrayals, tiny acts of disrespect, quiet shifts in loyalty. These moments seem insignificant, but each one is a seed, and every seed grows. The greatest downfall of leaders in history was not the strength of their enemies, but their own hesitation. They believed danger could be reasoned with, negotiated with, tolerated. But danger does not disappear because you ignore it. It evolves, it spreads, it strengthens, and when it finally becomes undeniable, it is too late to stop it without sacrificing everything. Think of the people around you: a coworker who oversteps one boundary, a friend who betrays a small confidence, a partner who breaks one promise, an ally who hesitates at a crucial moment. The average person forgives these acts, assuming they are isolated. But Machiavelli would warn you that patterns begin with small incidents. A rival who tests you once will test you again. A subordinate who disrespects you once will grow bolder. A competitor who challenges you subtly today will attack openly tomorrow. If you do not crush the threat early, it will grow until it consumes you. But crushing a threat does not always mean confrontation. Often, the most effective method is silence, distance, or a quiet removal of influence. You do not need to make your actions public. In fact, the best leaders eliminate threats without allowing anyone to notice they existed. The world sees peace because the turmoil was handled in the shadows. Power thrives when danger never has the chance to bloom. A rival who is removed discreetly does not become a martyr, does not inspire rebellion, does not alert others to your strategy. They simply disappear from the board, and the game continues in your favor. In Machiavelli's time, rulers who hesitated were swallowed by conspirators. A whisper of dissent would grow until it shook the palace walls. But the rulers who understood the game, the ones who acted early, crushed dissent before it left a single echo. They knew that mercy toward a future danger is cruelty toward oneself. They understood that allowing an enemy to survive today means fighting a stronger enemy tomorrow. This is not brutality, this is calculation. It is the discipline to make a difficult decision now, so you do not pay a greater price later. Apply this to your life. How many problems have grown simply because you chose to ignore them? How many relationships turned toxic because you allowed small disrespect? How many opportunities slipped away because you didn't take action when you sensed the first signs of change? The truth is that most problems you face today were once small warnings you chose not to confront. Every downfall begins with a moment when you convinced yourself that the threat was too tiny to matter. And what does it mean to confront a threat completely? It means you do not leave room for resurgence. You do not cut the weed halfway, you pull it out by the roots. You do not silence a rumor partially, you eliminate the source. You do not challenge a rival halfway, you ensure they have no path to return. If you leave even a fragment of danger alive, it will grow again. Partial solutions are invitations for future problems. Complete solutions are the foundation of lasting power. A powerful leader, a powerful individual, does not wait for a threat to define itself. They define it. They do not react, they preempt. They do not defend, they neutralize. This is how stability is created. This is how influence is preserved. This is how a kingdom, a business, a reputation, or a personal life remains unshaken. You must learn to see the earliest signs of danger and treat them with the seriousness they deserve. Ignoring them is the luxury of those who do not plan to rise. Remember this truth: your enemies, your competitors, your challenges all begin small. If you refuse to act early, you will be forced to act desperately. But if you cultivate the discipline to recognize danger while it is still weak and to eliminate it completely, you become untouchable. No threat will ever have the chance to grow into something that can overthrow you. Power is a performance long before it becomes a reality. Machiavelli knew that rulers did not survive by showing the world who they truly were. They survived by showing the world what it needed to see. This lesson is not about deception for its own sake. It is about mastering the duality that every successful leader, every strategist, every influencer throughout history has embraced. You must learn to appear virtuous while acting ruthless. You must understand that your public image is a shield, while your hidden actions are the sword that shapes your destiny. And if you fail to master this duality, you will either be feared with no loyalty or loved with no authority. A ruler who balances both becomes unstoppable. Imagine standing before a crowd, your followers, your allies, your rivals, all of them watching you, analyzing you, judging you. They do not want to see a tyrant, even if tyranny is sometimes necessary to maintain stability. They do not want to see cruelty, even if selective cruelty prevents chaos. They want to see strength that feels moral, resolve that feels noble, discipline that feels principled. They want a leader who appears just, compassionate, and honorable, not because they value these virtues, but because such appearances make them feel safe. People follow what reassures them, not what challenges them. They seek a leader who seems righteous, even if righteousness is only the surface of a more complex reality. But behind that surface lies the truth. A ruler cannot afford to act only with kindness or purity. They must make decisions that protect the state, the vision, the future. And those decisions often require actions that the world would condemn if they saw them clearly. That is why the mask is essential. The mask protects you while your actions protect your power. The mask earns loyalty while your strategy eliminates threats. The mask wins hearts while your resolve secures the kingdom. This is the art of appearing virtuous while acting ruthlessly, not because you are false, but because the world cannot comprehend the weight of leadership. Machiavelli observed that the rulers who displayed their ruthlessness openly were the first to be overthrown. People feared them but never respected them. Their cruelty felt uncontrolled, unpredictable, loud. It stirred rebellion instead of preventing it. But the rulers who appeared gentle, who smiled at gatherings, who spoke softly, who praised fairness while quietly shaping the world behind the curtain, these rulers endured. They understood perception as a weapon. They knew that looking moral is often more important than being moral. They knew that people forgive ruthless actions when they come from a leader who appears noble. Consider modern life. If you show your ambition openly, people will call you selfish. If you show your strategies openly, people will fear you. But if you present yourself as fair, kind, balanced, patient, then people trust you. They underestimate you. They reveal themselves to you, And that is when your strategic actions can take place unnoticed. Appearances disarm your enemies, calm your allies, and protect your intentions. You achieve more with the mask than you ever could with raw aggression. A cunning competitor speaks softly at meetings, but prepares silently at night. They offer praise in public, but eliminate obstacles in private. They appear agreeable, but their mind is calculating every move. When opportunities arise, they act decisively, catching everyone off guard because no one suspected them of having the courage or the vision to seize control. This person is practicing Machiavelli's duality. They let others feel comfortable while they quietly reshape the outcome. This does not make them dishonest. It makes them effective. Life is filled with people who judge appearances more than results. If you act openly ruthless, you will be labeled the villain, even if your actions were necessary. But if you maintain a righteous facade, your decisive moves become acceptable, even admirable. People rationalize your actions because they trust your image. They excuse your ruthlessness because they believe you are guided by a higher purpose. This is the paradox. The one who looks good can get away with doing what must be done, while the one who looks dangerous is condemned before he even acts. Machiavelli understood that the world values symbols more than truth, and so should you. Your symbol must be purity, reliability, virtue. Your truth must be strategy, resilience, and the courage to act where others hesitate. You do not need to lie. You simply need to reveal only what benefits you and conceal what empowers you. A ruler who shows everything is a ruler who loses everything. Privacy is power. Mystery is leverage. Appearances are armor. Imagine a prince who greets his court with warmth, who praises the loyalty of his subjects, who shares stories of justice and unity. Everyone admires him, but when he retires to his chambers, he reviews reports of rival families, tracks whispers of dissent, and quietly removes those who plot against him. His people see only the benevolent figure. They do not see the strategist who ensures their safety through decisive action. They adore him because he protects them. They trust him because he looks like a guardian, not a tyrant. His reign lasts because he mastered both faces of power. In your life, you must do the same. Let others see you as fair, respectful, and reasonable. Let them believe you seek harmony, not conflict. Let them relax in your presence. But reserve your calculations for the private realm, where your decisions cannot be misjudged or misunderstood. When a threat appears, you act. When a boundary is crossed, you enforce it. When an opportunity arises, you seize it without hesitation. And because you appear virtuous, your actions are not questioned, they are justified. This is not deception, it is strategy. It is understanding that people judge by what they see, not by what is true. And if you want to rise in a world ruled by perception, you must control what they see. You must master the surface while commanding the depths. Only then will you hold power that is not only feared but protected. Only then will you become a ruler who endures.